Are you looking for a way to complete Wave 25 on Space Marine 2's new Siege Hard mode? Of course you are. So in this video, I'm going to show you the easiest path to triumph by covering team comp, economy, and tactics. Now to clarify, everything in this video is a considered balance of what is strong and easy to pull off. There are stronger setups to push far beyond 25, however they're much trickier and require much more practice on both an individual and a team basis. So for today, we're going to quickly explore the most surefire way to guarantee your victory on Wave 25. To blast your way, you're going to want to take a tactical, a heavy, and a vanguard. For the tactical, you're going to run a full plasma setup. So for the primary, you're going to run the fire rate version with the following perks. And for the secondary, you're going to run the ammo capacity variant with the following perks. For your melee weapon, you're going to run the relic fencing version with these perks. And then for your class perks, you're going to run the following tree, with the only variance being between battle focus and precise calibration. This is going to be a little bit more difficult to pull off, but do a lot more damage to things like bosses. This is going to be much more effective when you're having 1v1s with extremis level enemies. For the prestige perks, you'll want skilled supplier, spare power, resilience, and fortitude. For the heavy, you're going to run the multi-melter ammo capacity variant with the following perks. Then like the TAC, you're going to run the same plasma pistol, the ammo capacity variant, with the same perks. For the class perks, I'd recommend using this exact setup. I think any changes start to require more team coordination, so for the purpose of today's video, this build is brutally strong. For the prestige perks, you're going to want to take auxiliary reload, conviction, indomitable spirit, and duelist. And finally, the vanguard. You're going to run the melter rifle ammo capacity variant with the following perks. And for your secondary, you're going to run the heavy bolt pistol, again ammo capacity with the following perks. For the melee, just like the TAC, you're going to run the fencing relic, same perk tree. And for class perks, you're going to run the chain grapnel build, where I wouldn't really deviate from any of the selection here. And for the prestige perks, you're going to run battlefield awareness, fortitude, launch restoration, and restoration. For economy, I'm going to split this into pre-round 15 and then round 15 and onwards. For pre-round 15, do not spend anything. For round 15 and no, I'm just kidding. Kind of. For pre-15, your main goals are going to be to save as much as possible, continuously scan the map between rounds for melter bombs and stims. You should prioritize melter bombs going to the heavy and the van first, as they get equipment charges more often than the tactical. Once someone has a melter bomb, it's then advisable to buy stims to ensure they don't die and lose it. Do not buy a single reinforcement, Astartes, or Dreadnought. Never the Dreadnought. I know, Valtus is a badass, but to keep it simple, he's way overpriced and he's really underpowered. RIP. Round 15 and onwards, for reals this time. Grab yourself a Guardian Relic each. Keep topped up on stims, and don't be afraid to use them. Dying and losing your melter and relic costs a lot more than the 50 per stim. So if your HP bar looks like this, and there isn't a dude in front of you doing this, jam it. Then finally, the Astartes. Oh yes. On round 18 and 23, buy one heavy Astartes to help out, preferably on either the TAC or the heavy, as the vanguard gets less value. Then on round 20 and 25, everyone buys a heavy Astartes. The heavy is busted. If he locks onto a terminus, he'll continuously blast it until the line of sight is broken or it's dead. As a general rule, the heavy and TAC will want to stay relatively near each other, and the vanguard can basically free roam the other side of the map. As the vanguard, you're going to want to be utilizing your hook execute as much as possible. It costs no ammo, which is your biggest weakness, and does an obscene amount of damage in a big AoE. A little trick for you, you may have noticed enemies flash as you're shooting them. When the white flash turns to an orangey red, not to be confused with the execute animation, it indicates that they're below 33%, and if you hook them at that point, you'll trigger the execute. As the heavy TAC duo, your focus is going to be auspexing spawns and dealing huge damage. One key tip is to divide executes. The heavy goes for extremis and the TAC goes for majoris. This is because the heavy only gets ammo from executes on extremis, whereas the TAC gets it from anything majoris and above. Obviously, if the tack needs health, then they can execute the extremis. Another great tip once you've collected those metal bombs is to start placing them on the spawns before the round begins. This is incredibly effective against chaos. On the terminus rounds, keep mobile, don't let yourself get surrounded, deal damage when you can, but try to thin the herd before destroying the terminus. For priorities, against Tyrannid, prioritize the Biovals and the Zoanthropes, and against Chaos, prioritize the Sorcerers and the big Rocket Terminators. And then lastly, it's a good idea, especially for the Vanguard, to have things like ammo boxes and spare stim packs resting around at the vendors. You never know in the middle of a round when you're going to need them, and it's better to just take them and spend the little money they cost than it is to just wipe. And that's it. The rest is just practice. The most important parts are having the key team perks, being leveled, and playing the economy properly. Everything else is just a bonus. I hope you learned a little something, and if you got any questions, pop them in the comments and I will get back to you.